Ever since the day that you went away, you went away.
Hi guys, my name is Andra. I make mostly commentaries, sometimes lifestyle videos. Today's video is my attempt at destroying Amanda Ensing, who has over 1 million subscribers, and it just shocked me that people actually stand by what she said, because not only is it wrong, but it's entirely stupid. So, now, I wanna say, for context, the video is about her support for Donald Trump. She posted it about 2 weeks ago, but I honestly didn't watch it up until now because I knew how infuriating it's gonna be, because I've seen other videos talking about it. So I kind of like left it, and then I was like, no, you know what, this girl needs some ass whooping as soon as possible. And Julia from Ready to Glare made a video on this, but I want to go a lot more in depth on why everything she's saying as a Christian is wrong. Now, I'm not a Christian. I've been a practitioner of Wicca for over 6 years now, almost 7 years, but I have read the Bible, and I am from a Christian country. So I would say that although I'm no longer a Christian, I want to treat this with a lot of respect, because I do still like a lot of things about Christianity. There are some things I do not like, but I'm not gonna get too much into that because I don't want to be disrespectful. So I just want you guys to know that I come from a place of knowledge and unbiased research, because I feel like the way that Christians see the Bible is a bit different from the way that somebody who doesn't actually believe in Christianity sees the Bible. So I feel like I can offer a different perspective on this. So first off, what really annoyed me about her video is that she was bragging about being a political sciences graduate, but she doesn't actually talk about Trump's policies. Now, I'm an arts graduate, so I don't have the insight to discuss that side of the video, but I just wanted to bring it up because why would you talk about your degree in this context and you don't talk about his policies on, I don't know, like gun laws, taxes, the way that he wants to spread the budget of the state, like this kind of stuff that is public information, because all politicians need to declare these things when they run for any political position, not just presidency. So I don't understand why you didn't take that and break it down and explain why that is better for America. Although I don't believe it is, but I'm just saying, why didn't you use your degree instead of just using some just weird brainwashing and guilt-tripping other Christians who don't think the same things that you do. It's also the fact that she's a minority in multiple perspectives. So one of them is she's a woman, and we all know Trump has over 16 rape allegations against him. So it's just insane to me how, as a woman, you can actually support that. I know Biden has his allegation as well, but I believe both of them. But one allegation versus 16, Trump is a monster who did not stop the first time, did not stop the second time, did not stop the 10th time, did not stop the 15th time. You know what I mean? And there might even be more people. Biden, I'm not saying that it's right what he did, because I'm gonna be going in on Biden and why he's horrible as well in this video. But as a rape survivor myself, I think there are nuances to stuff that can happen. So in my case, it was a situation of coercion and me being silent and not openly protesting and screaming and kicking. And that is still as valid as what any other survivor is going through. So I can understand that there are situations in which, because of patriarchy and the way that men are taught to be entitled, they do not pick up on these cues that, you know, we are recently teaching people online that anything short of an excited, enthusiastic yes is a no. Silence is no. And we are teaching people that. But that is something that is being taught only recently. So, while I'm not defending Biden, I'm just saying one allegation can mean a lot of things and a lot of nuances. So bear that in mind. As a woman, voting for Trump is not only bad because of rape allegations, but because of his stance on abortions. That is not something that makes you a Christian. If you dictate what a woman should do with her body, especially a non-Christian woman, because why should we non-Christians adhere to what your book says about abortion? That does not make you a good Christian, telling others what to do. Do you know what a good Christian does? A Christian does not judge because only God can judge. Another thing that Trump says that would not match up with what is being said in the Bible is his constant slut shaming of other women, which we're gonna get into later. I have examples. But for the sake of just making a summary right now, the Bible says if your right eye causes you to sin, take it off and throw it out. So, how can you, as a good Christian, slut shame women if the Bible is blaming the men for sinful eyes and not the women for dressing a certain way? I know there are bits in the Bible that are blaming women as well, but for the sake of argument, we're just going to use this isolated bit because there are a lot of contradictions in the Bible, because the Bible is a collective effort by many people. So, I think it's up to you as a Christian which ones you decide to follow. But I also think it's hypocritical to only follow the negative ones, the discriminatory ones, and ignore the good lessons in the Bible. My second thing is that this woman said that she's mixed and she's half Latina. So if you're half Latina, how do you support Trump, who decided to build a wall to keep your people out and kept your kids in cages, tore down your families? If you're part of this community, how do you support that? And please don't start with, well, Obama and Biden built the cages. Yeah, they did, and they're horrible. And I'm not supporting Biden in this video. This is not what it's about. I'm not even American. So my word is worthless to you guys if you are Trump supporters. But yeah, Obama and Biden built the cages, but Trump is continuing to use them. And Trump is the one with the idea of the wall. So if somebody gave me an instrument of torture, I wouldn't use it, even though it was readily available for me. I wouldn't, because I'm a horrible person. So you can't absolve Trump of all guilt just because other people built the cages. It doesn't matter who decided to build ICE. The way that she is acting throughout this video is a lot of holier than thou attitude. And again, as a non-Christian, I am not against Christianity, but you guys have to understand that if you act like this, if you pretend that you're better than non-Christians, that is why so many of us do not like so many of you. Because you cannot tell us that you're better just because you follow a different book. Because we are good people as well. I say this to people. Me as a pagan, as a Wiccan, people always think that I believe in Satan and I'm doing like dark magic and shit. Guys, my job is to help people who do not speak English to go through a doctor, to go through social services. That's my job. I'm an interpreter for public services. So my whole career right now, if I continue down this path, is dedicated to helping the oppressed, underprivileged, often poor, often ill people. That is literally what Jesus is doing in the Bible. I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but I'm just saying you cannot preach to me just because I follow a different religion that I'm not a good person when my whole life is dedicated to other people in the service of others. Whereas your life is dedicated to judging non-Christians on the internet. No. You're not gonna do that on this platform here. And I want you guys to know that when I talk about Christians in this video, I'm only talking about the very, very conservative, traditionalist, extremist ones. And I'm not talking about the Christian community as a whole, because over half of my friends are Christians. So there's no point in me giving them shit as well because of this small percentage in their community that is actually insane. Throughout the whole video, she goes on about freedom and why America is the land of the free. When me as an European, I can say you guys, especially your election methods, are not democratic and they are not about freedom. You have the Electoral College, which is the rich and the privileged deciding for the poor. Your system means that certain votes in certain cities weigh more than votes in other cities or states. So already there is not equality between a voter from one state to a voter from another state. So that is not freedom. Europe has freedom. Europe has democracy. It's not perfect. It's not 100% democracy. But the voting system, as far as I'm concerned, in my country, my vote weighs the same as a guy from the capital voting. That is what should be in every single country. I can understand why in America it's a bit different because the population is not really equally distributed. But let's say I understand this side of it, but the Electoral College is not something I understand. Why do you get rich people voting for you? How can the popular vote point to Hillary Clinton, but Trump still wins? That is not democracy.
Have you ever stopped to realize that one party voted for the president because they love what he's done for this country in policy and for the world. I mean, it's the first time we've had peace in the Middle East. That's just one thing out of a million.
Saying that there is peace in the Middle East under the Trump administration is pure insanity to me. I do not understand how someone can say such privileged, uninformed bullshit and get away with it. I cannot. The amount of comments that I've seen about why this thing that she said is stupid was a really low amount, and I was surprised because I feel like people should know this. So let's talk about Israel. On the screen, I'm gonna leave a few things that Trump has done that endanger the lives of Palestinians in the Middle East. It's a lot, so you guys read that to your discretion because I don't want this video to be 10 hours. Next up, I want you guys to know that there are groups of Jewish people who are against the state of Israel. Therefore, what I'm saying is not anti-Semitic because it actually goes against what they are being told in their holy book, the Torah. They are being told to wait for the coming of the Messiah because obviously Jesus is not the Messiah for them. So for Christians to speak on behalf of the Jewish people on the state of Israel matters is absolutely ignorant. If there are fringe groups of Jewish people who use their holy book as proof that what Zionism is doing is not right, you as a Christian cannot tell them that they are wrong. You can't. The proof is on the screen as well. If you want to read, pause. I'm gonna be putting the articles in the description because unlike this girl, I actually have sources that are not TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. And as I said, it's a lot, so you guys go through it at your own comfort. Other than the situation between Israel and Palestine, there are a lot of other damaging things that Trump has done in the Middle East. Although not as much of a war criminal as Obama has been, Trump has still been very, very horrible for several countries in the Middle East, such as what happened in Iran when he ordered the assassination of one of their generals. As you remember, everybody was terrified of a World War III starting because of Trump at the start of this year. So how can you say that that's peace? That's not peace. If the concerns were there worldwide, then that's not peace. What Trump did by assassinating the general in Iran strengthened Iran's power in Iraq and damaged the anti-ISIS coalition that Iraqi have built. Also, on top of that, Trump decided that he will withdraw the American troops in Syria, in the northeastern area bordering Turkey. That is something that will have long repercussions for the Kurdish population because that is allowing the Turkish to invade that area and further oppress the Kurdish people. When Trump was actually approached about this and told that he's doing the wrong thing by withdrawing the American troops from there, he said, I, in my great and unmatched wisdom, consider to be off limits, I will totally destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey. Okay. So, you guys don't know this, but my family is part Turkish. And the Turks, well, the Ottomans have caused a lot of trouble in my country. They have enslaved my people. They have enslaved most of Eastern Europe. So, just because Turkey is not the superpower it once was, I would not discount them for being capable of doing horrible things. And again, I'm not discriminatory or whatever because I'm part Turkish, so don't come with that, please. I'm just saying, Trump, you fucked the Middle East. Like, not Trump himself, but like the Americans have fucked the Middle East, okay? You made a mess. And now you are withdrawing your troops instead of fixing your mess. Every time you do something, like, I'm talking about the US military. Every time the US military does something, every time they touch something, they damage it. That is a fact. And I'm sorry, you cannot prove to me that I'm wrong because I'm not. Trump blamed money on why he's withdrawing the troops by saying that they spend $8 trillion on wars in the Middle East. But now the Middle East is less safe, less stable, and less secure than before. I wonder why. Because you are selfish and you didn't actually go there to help, you went there to steal and to kill people. Another thing that Trump has done that caused danger in the Middle East is his Muslim refugee ban, because that is obviously indirectly causing the deaths of so many people. And because of that, you cannot say that there is peace in the Middle East. I'm sure there are more instances that I'm not remembering off the top of my head right now, because honestly, 4 years is a long time, and suffering in the Middle East is just, right now, it's become the norm, unfortunately, for these people. So I do not understand how somebody who's not Arabic or Muslim can speak on peace in the Middle East, because honestly, you don't know anything about that, clearly. The full articles on the context of all the things that I've been summing up are in my bio, and a lot of them are reputable sources such as Amnesty International. So I'm not, as I said, I'm not linking bullshit TikToks like she did, because she thinks she's so smart, but all her sources from a political sciences student are TikToks. Did she not hear about peer-reviewed sources in her amazing higher studies? I don't understand. Even us in art school, like, we had to use a lot of different references and stuff like that, and she's referencing TikTok. Just upsetting and ridiculous, to be honest.
We have seen more hate than I think we have seen in, I mean, as long as I've been alive, I've never seen it like this. Have you ever stopped to realize that one party voted for the president because they love what he's done for this country?
Okay, so this is the biggest part of the video. I'm gonna prove with biblical sources that Trump is the definition of hate and the opposite of everything that the Bible ever stood for, and also explain why some Christians nitpick the parts of the Bible that serve their purpose in the context of discriminating others, but those parts are just in the minority and shouldn't actually be listened to if you're a good Christian. So, saying that people voted out of love and others voted out of hate. Like, yeah, Biden voters definitely didn't vote because they love Biden. They voted out of hate for Trump, which is fair enough, because, you know what, Trump is horrible and he should. But people who voted out of love, they voted out of love for their fake idol, Trump. And you know what the Bible says about worshiping other gods? They didn't actually vote out of love for the people, because that is what the Bible is saying. The Bible is saying, love thy neighbor. So, it's not saying love the rich people above you. We'll start with the LGBTQ plus community, because I'm part of that. So, in the Bible there are instances in which being gay is condemned. That is true. And now I'm gonna explain to you why those are not really that valid. So there is Leviticus, which talks about why gay people should have their heads cut off if they copulate with each other. And the same Leviticus that says that if a man rapes an animal, the animal should be killed because the animal is not pure. So would we really actually listen to this? Because it's blaming a voiceless victim of abuse, an animal, of being raped by a man. Like, we talk about rape culture a lot, but when rape culture is about, well, she was wearing something provocative, yeah. So what about animals that get raped? What about babies? Are the babies provocative? It's the same argument, it's just stupid. And Leviticus is also in the Old Testament. Most Christians follow the New Testament above the Old Testament. The Old Testament is mostly what Jewish people follow, because the Torah is an adaptation of the Old Testament. So you shouldn't really put that above the New Testament to begin with, if you're a good Christian, because the new one is more important, because Jesus came and changed everything. So, in the New Testament there is also Paul, and he wrote the chapters of the Corinthians and the Romans, which talk about that, about why being gay is a sin, but a lot of interpretations are alternate, saying that maybe Paul was actually condemning the act of anal sex, including in heterosexual couples, not just gays. There is also the historical context and why people needed to reproduce at the time, because the earth was not populated as it is now. Although I could argue that now it's overpopulated. These verses are made by one guy, Paul, and his own opinion. So should we really listen to Paul's opinion over Jesus? Because isn't Jesus God? Isn't he the Son of God? So why are you listening to this random guy over Jesus? Jesus healed the centurion's gay lover. This is in the chapters from Matthew and Luke, saying that a centurion, a Roman one, asked Jesus to heal his young servant. But the word that is used in Greek is pais, which is commonly used for same-sex servants. A lot of scholars have studied the translations of the Bible, and many of them argue that this would have meant a slave who was dear to him. So, you know, if Jesus can heal a gay, then how can Trump discriminate the gays? And how can you, as a good Christian, say that gay people are bad because of this certain extract, but then you ignore the other extracts that you find stupid, such as not eating shrimp, not wearing two different fabrics, Why, if you're such a good follower of the Bible, why do you not follow these ones? You think these ones are stupid, but you don't think that that one is stupid. Why? And now let's parallel Jesus healing the centurion's male lover to stuff that Trump did for the LGBTQ plus community. Okay, Donald Trump pushed for the courts to legalize discrimination against LGBT people. He banned transgender people from serving in the military. He appointed Supreme Court judges who threatened the equal marriage ruling. He denied transgender people equal access to emergency shelters. He fought to deny US citizenship to the children of same-sex parents. He covered up examples of homophobic torture and persecution in global human rights reports. His campaign for the global decriminalization of homosexuality turned out to be a sham. He erased LGBTQ plus resources, data and language from government websites. He pledged to cut funding for colleges that block anti-LGBTQ plus religious groups. He reversed transgender healthcare protections on the anniversary of the Paul shooting. And I'm going to leave you the source from Pink News in the description if you want to read about each of these individually, because there's a lot and there's no point for me to explain all of this right now, because that's not the whole point of the video. There's a lot more to go through. Next up we have, what does the Bible say about refugees or immigrants? So the Bible actually doesn't use the terms refugees or immigrants, but in the book there are plenty of instances of people being called strangers or sojourners or foreigners, and that includes Jesus himself and his family. They were refugees. So how can you as a good Christian not let refugees in if the Holy Family themselves were refugees? There are instances in the Bible in which Jesus talks about himself as a stranger, which is what's the word for refugee in the Bible. And there are also many instances on how a good Christian would treat refugees and immigrants. So as an immigrant myself, I just want to say you're a shit Christian if you discriminate us, and especially refugees who literally come from a country torn by war, and because they're desperate. At least me as an immigrant, I had the comfort of coming by plane with tickets with my own money, but these people have to swim, many of them die, just to go to that country. Do you really think that they need discrimination on top of that, all the suffering that they've already been through? So in Matthew 25:45, Jesus says, I was a stranger and you invited me in. In Exodus 23:9, do not oppress a foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners, because you were foreigners in Egypt. That's for the Jews in Egypt, but obviously any Christian who follows the Bible should listen to these things. The foreigners residing among you must be treated as native born. Love them as yourself, for you are foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God, in Leviticus 19:34. In Ephesians 2:19, consequently, you are no longer foreigners and strangers, but fellow citizens with God's people and also members of his household. So that's obviously everyone is equal. Keep on loving one another as brothers and sisters. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Hebrews 13:1 and 2. So the same thing, showing hospitality to foreigners. And there are other instances, such as some of the tithe collected by the priests was to be used to not only feed them and their families, but also to help provide food for foreigners, widows, and orphans. In Deuteronomy 14:28-29. Also, farmers were instructed to leave the gleanings of their fields for the poor and the foreigner in Leviticus 23:22, and to treat the stranger as they would the poor among the Israelites in Leviticus 25:45. If I'm reading some of the names wrong in the Bible, I've read the Bible in my own language. English is obviously not my first language, so forgive that. I'm not doing it on purpose. What does Trump say about refugees? Refugees from Syria are now pouring into our great country. Who knows who they are? Some could be ISIS. Is our president insane? About Obama. 13 Syrian refugees were caught trying to get into the US through the southern border. How many made it? We need the wall. Democrats don't want to talk ISIS because Hillary's foreign interventions unleashed ISIS, and her refugee plans make it easier for them to come here. 72% of the refugees admitted into US during court breakdown are from 7 countries: Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Iran, Sudan, Libya, and Yemen. So what's your point here? What did Mr. Donald Trump say about the immigrants, namely the Mexican quote-unquote illegals? Because I don't believe anybody is illegal. I don't believe in borders. So things that he's said before are, they are not our friend, believe me. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Some. So the minority, in his opinion. Sadly, the overwhelming amount of violent crime in our major cities is committed by blacks and Hispanics. A tough subject must be discussed. When will the US stop sending dollars to our enemies like Mexico and others? The Mexican legal system is corrupt, as is much of Mexico. Pay me the money that is owed me now, and stop sending criminals over our border. Mexico's court system corrupt. I want nothing to do with Mexico other than to build an impenetrable wall and stop them from ripping off US. The border is wide open for cartels and terrorists. Secure our border now, build a massive wall, and deduct the cost from Mexican foreign aid. Mexican government doesn't want me talking about terrible border situations and horrible trade deals. Forcing Univision to get me to stop, no way. I love the Mexican people, but Mexico is not our friend. They're killing us at the border and they're killing us on jobs and trade. Fight. Mexican leaders and negotiators are much tougher and smarter than those of the US. Mexico is killing us on jobs and trade. Wake up. So because other people are smarter, you're like so upset. What the fuck? El Chapo and the Mexican drug cartels use the border unimpeded, like it was a vacuum cleaner, sucking drugs and death right into the US. Everybody's talking about the protesters burning the American flags and proudly waving Mexican flags. I want America first, so do others. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Fuck's sake. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics. That is so cringe, actually. It's so stupid. Anyways, other than that, he's done other offensive things, to be honest, such as naming the Day of the Dead someday about people being killed by aliens or some shit like that. And I do not understand. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand how her, as a half Latina girl, could ever vote for Trump. Like, you must have no brain, honestly. And regarding the kids in cages at ICE, that's a quote from the Bible here in Matthew 18, 1-6. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child whom he put among them and said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. If any of you put a stumbling block before one of these little ones who believe in me, it would be better for you if a great millstone were fastened around your neck and you were drowned in the depth of the sea." So what about kids in cages then? Do you think Jesus will approve of that? If there are a lot of positive descriptions of children in the Bible as being the most pure of God's creations. So let me know how you feel about that, guys, because I'm pretty sure Jesus wouldn't like kids in cages. What does the Bible say about justice, and what does Donald Trump say about justice? The Bible says in Proverbs, "When justice is done, it is a joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers." In Amos, "But let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." And in Isaiah, "Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's cause." In Isaiah, "For I, the Lord, love justice, I hate robbery and wrong, I will faithfully give them their recompense, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them." And by the way, looting in the protests is not robbery, it's justice, so this still stands by my argument with Trump condemning BLM protesters for looting, which we're going to talk about in a second. In Psalm, "Turn away from evil and do good, so shall you dwell forever, for the Lord loves justice. He will not forsake his saints. They are preserved forever, but the children of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land and dwell upon it forever." In Psalm again, "Blessed are they who observe justice, who do righteousness at all times." In Proverbs, "Whoever says to the wicked, 'You are in the right,' will be cursed by peoples, abhorred by nations, but those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them." So that is, if you support Trump, you will be punished too. I'm just saying, because he's evil. And if you don't think that he's evil, please prove me wrong, because that video was 22 minutes of saying nothing. In Proverbs, "To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice." In Deuteronomy, "Justice and only justice you shall follow, that you may live and inherit the land that the Lord your God is giving you." And for Amanda Ensing, because she's been judging people who are not as perfect in Christianity as she thinks that they should be, because her version of Christianity is supporting Trump. In Luke, "Judge not and you will not be judged, condemn not and you will not be condemned, forgive and you'll be forgiven." In Proverbs, "Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy." That includes minorities who are ostracized and they have to be poor because they live in conditions like that are set up against them from the beginning of their lives. Romans, "For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer." So, in the Bible, when it comes to situations of delivering justice, the Bible is not against violence. And I think that is something that is worth mentioning, because everybody's like, oh no, the Bible only promotes peace, not violent protest. No, the Bible promotes revolution when it comes to the, as I said, deliverance of the evil people and the justice that needs to be served for the oppressed. That is what the Bible says. The Bible is supportive of violent revolution when it comes to the people. And in Matthew, so whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. So what Trump is doing, discriminating, how is that actually good? How is that actually helping anyone? And in Deuteronomy, again, he executes justice for the fatherless and the widow and loves the sojourner, giving him food and clothing, which is the opposite of Trump, of everything that Trump wants to do to people. He's not a good person, guys. Just get over it. What does Trump say about justice? Well, I think we all know the famous "when the looting starts, the shooting starts" quote that Trump has said, so I don't really need to expand on that. I don't think so. Okay, what does the Bible say about money? In Timothy, it says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs." In Hebrews, it says, "Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have, for he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." In Matthew, it says, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money." In Matthew, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there where your heart will be also." Luke says, "If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth, who will entrust to you the true riches?" And Luke also said, "Sell your possessions and give to the needy. Provide yourself with money bags that do not grow old, with a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where no thief approaches and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." This is what Jesus says about money. Jesus answered, that's from Matthew as well. Jesus answered, "If you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me." In Acts, "And all that believed were together and had all things common, and they sold their possessions and goods and parted them to all, according as any man had need." So Trump has a long history of scamming people through the University of Trump, through his multi-level marketing attempts. He has a history of scamming people. He has a history of tax evasion, but his charitable facade is the fact that he's donating his salary as a president every year, but that's because he has a lot of other sources of income, so it's not really a donation out of the kindness of his heart, to be honest. So we all know about that, but what else did Trump do? He said that $400 million is a very small amount of money, and he probably owes foreign entities. And Donald Trump also gave people a very, very small amount of money during the coronavirus pandemic. The stimulus checks are not enough to survive, in my opinion. He also accused doctors of inflating coronavirus death counts for money as cases hit record levels, which is insane to me that these people who are dedicating their lives to saving others are slandered by this monster. Okay, now let's talk about the last point from the Bible is women. Women's rights. We know Trump already said things like grab her by the pussy. So I'm not going to talk about all the examples of Trump insulting women, but he's insulted most mainstream celebrities who happen to be women, as well as any woman politician that he stumbled across. And I'm going to leave the article in the description down below because it's a lot. But what does the Bible say about women? So the Bible has a lot of problematic passages about women. A lot of the women in the Bible are portrayed as morally corrupt, temptresses, unfaithful, and a lot of different flaws. But I don't think that the Bible overall reflects what Jesus thought about women, because there are multiple instances in which you can see that Jesus himself, even if he's not the Son of God, because I do believe that he wasn't the Son of God, but I do believe he was a very, very good person. And there is proof that he lived and he was a real person. So Jesus himself had both a man and a woman prophesied over him when he was young. Jesus was really, really good to his mother. Jesus healed both men and women of disease and death. He was friends with men and women. He touched both unclean men and women, healing them of sin and all that separated them from fellowship with him. He sought out the Samaritan woman, speaking into her sinful life and providing her with the living water her soul desperately needed. And when he triumphed over death, he used women as the first voices who proclaimed his resurrection. So we can all agree that Jesus probably treated everybody as equals, and although the Bible has some sexist passages and a lot of like purity culture comes from the whole holy virgin idea, and those are problematic, I don't think it reflects on what the actual word of Jesus or God would be. I just think the people who wrote the Bible, some of them had problematic views, but the chapters that include Jesus himself are the ones that Christians should follow above all, in my opinion.
When you're a believer, your identity is not in other people's opinions. Your identity is found in Christ. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Christians don't believe in canceling someone's life or career because they don't agree with you and because they actually take time to think and do their research and form their own opinions. And when you don't believe in something, it has no power over your life. When I saw people going online saying, how can you say God is in control? And like Christians were getting attacked for saying God is in control. No one was even saying anything about who to vote for. How arrogant do you have to be to think that your thoughts and your ways are higher than God's?
So throughout the whole video, she just kind of assumed that everybody in America is Christian, which I did not like because there are a lot of Muslims, Jews, so on and so forth, pagans, Buddhists, I presume, in America, atheists. So not everyone should adhere to your principles of voting just because you are Christian. And all the stupid shit that she said.
Do people not realize that television tells you your vision? That programming programs you to think a certain way? And it's like that line in this new song a follower had sent me, and it's a lot of dumb people with smartphones.
Okay, so television. Through a quick Google, she would have found out that the word television comes from classical Greek tele, which means far away, and vision is obviously the English word already. So television means seeing from far away. And the word for television in German is apparently already a combination of the words far and vision. So that would confirm the theory. The word programming does not come from programming you. It just comes from a sequence in a certain order. And this word was already used in the 1800s to talk about theaters, like plays or concerts. And the program was the list of what songs are going to be played or what's going to happen in the play at the theater. So it just means sequence in a certain order. The verb to program means to give a series of instructions to a computer or other piece of equipment so that it will do something automatically. So by default, even brain programming doesn't have to be about ideologies or political views. It can just be, if you do a job for a long time, you kind of do it automatically because you're used to it. So that could be a form of programming. Programming doesn't have to mean brainwashing at all. It has multiple definitions. And in computers, it just means a sequence in a certain order so that it runs, because otherwise it's not going to. She says dumb people with smartphones, but let's just check her description for a second so we can see who's the dumb person here, because I'm pretty sure it's not us. Okay, so thumbs up, woke. Thumbs down, asleep. Welcome to the side of social media where you won't be judged for thinking for yourself. You will always be loved here. Except if you voted Biden, I guess. But I just find it funny that she's describing herself as woke, because usually the Republicans and the conservatives here in England are using the word woke as an insult to us more leftist people. So I don't understand why she's appropriating this insult to herself as a compliment. Just weird. If you want to hear the story of how God spoke to me about leaving Los Angeles, like and comment. That's insane. This girl is claiming that God spoke to her. Isn't that what the Bible says about false voices and false prophets? Maybe Satan spoke to her. I'm not a Christian, I don't believe in Satan, but I feel like if you're a Christian, you should question that heavily. Besides the conviction to make this video, that was the next strongest thing I felt from God. I never wanted to speak on a lot of things because I thought people wouldn't believe me. But as things have come through this year, I can't deny them now. I hope you are all keeping full of hope. No matter what happens, it is all part of God's plan. He will always remain king, no matter who sits as president. And then she's putting millions of TikToks as sources. and one of them actually says what the media doesn't want you to see. Oh my god. Saying that TikTok is TikTok is one of the most educational platforms because the media, the news and the government are all biased. TikTok is biased too. Everywhere is biased. That's the thing is, I hate it when people say that communism has propaganda. As somebody whose parents grew up in communism, I just get pissed off because like, yeah, communism has propaganda, but capitalism has the more subtle layers of propaganda that nobody notices. So at least with communism, everybody knew it was propaganda. But with this one, people actually think that the news are telling the truth. But do you think TikTok is any better? No, it's the same. Everything is biased. And surely for somebody who's as brave as you are and as God-loving as you are, you wouldn't disable the likes and dislikes because you want to speak your truth, right, girl? No, of course not. But yeah, I just thought it was a bit ironic that she said that people who are dumb have smartphones when she uses TikToks as sources.
And I'm here to tell you, you don't need followers, you need Jesus.
You don't need followers, you need Jesus. I really thought that she was gonna say that bullshit mainstream meme because it kind of become a meme now that Jesus had 12 followers, so don't worry about numbers. Shut up. Now I'm gonna get into some of the comments that have been left at her video because I feel like they are very insightful and I would like to bring them up. A lot of dumb people with smartphones, girl, you literally reference TikToks as sources. They're talking about you. Yeah, they are, but she doesn't realize it. I won't shame you for who you're voting for, attacks people on Twitter for voting for Biden. You know what the Bible says about false prophets, right? Or do you need me to send you a TikTok link? Your poli-sci degree is as valuable as a dirty piece of gum stuck. Those who could use TikTok as a source. That's all you need to know about this lady. This and the extreme entitlement. I'm an empath. This was Shane's line and we know how it ended. She said God is speaking to her, God is probably the devil. Did this chick really use God to justify voting for Surgeon Cheeto? Girl, bye. Surgeon Cheeto, what? That's a new nickname. I've seen Cheeto Man before, but this is like even cooler, I think. Do you seriously think someone that has 26 sexual allegations does anything out of love? You're sick. She did not just say peace in the Middle East. Baby girl, I'm embarrassed for you. Do better. She says, as this administration can't find the parents of hundreds of migrant children, what a real Christian here. Every time I type Amanda Ensing on YouTube, my phone corrects it to Amanda Ending. Girl, what's your career? I'm sorry, but we aren't reading the same Bible. No, Amanda, we aren't reading the same Bible because we have freedom of religion. Therefore, we have the right to be able to believe in the faith or no faith we want to. Maybe instead of TikTok and Facebook, read the Constitution where they have stated there must be a separation of church and state. Come on, poli-sci major. All I heard in this video was God. No policies or facts you say you used to make your decision. That's what I said at the start. Like, if you're a poli-sci major, I would expect her to talk about economy and other factors when she voted for Trump. When your home state Puerto Rico had hurricanes, you wanted to sell Puerto Rico. Okay, so these are a few of the comments, and I thought they are very insightful and they add to what I've said before in the conversation. And now I kind of want to talk about the things that she's been posting since she posted this video, because she fully took on this persona of a Trump diehard fan, like that Caitlyn Bennett or whatever her name is, that crazy gun girl. You know who I'm talking about. I want to make a video on her, but I tried to watch for like 5 minutes and it was driving me insane. So I was like, no. I need drinks, weed, and patience to create that kind of content. First off, her boyfriend posted this. If you are blaming Trump for the current wave of outrage in America, just remember that we had a black president who had 8 years to fix whatever it is that needed to be fixed and he didn't fix it. Okay. So, Obama, it doesn't matter his race right now. What matters is Obama is a war criminal. Obama should be in prison, in federal prison. It doesn't matter that he's black. The people who worship Obama just because he's black are the same people who are worshipping Kamala Harris right now, who is a horrible person for the black community. And I'm sorry, if you support Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean you should support every single black person, and every single race and ethnicity has their own criminals. So I would say 99% of the people who support BLM don't support war criminals like Obama. So I don't understand why he really thought he did something, because it doesn't matter if Obama is black in this context. He was a bad person and he continues to be a bad person. And now on to what she's been posting on Twitter. The most anointed false prophet in the earth today is the lying media, and it has millions of Christians underneath its influence, and they don't even know it. I would say the most anointed false prophet today is Trump, personally, but whatever. Never thought I would live to see so many believers worshiping the media more than they do God. You worship Cheeto Man more than you do God. I don't understand what's wrong with you. Cancel culture happens when politics becomes religion. Okay, that is why Karl Marx called for the separation of religion and politics. Because you say politics becomes religion, but you want religion to become politics, which is just as dangerous. I don't understand why you are getting upset when it's the other way around from what you want it to be, because honestly these two things should have nothing in common to begin with. If you only mention God when it's to spread hate or tell people they are Christian based on your own opinion, you don't know Jesus. Pick your battles. It's important to know when to stop arguing with people and simply let them be wrong. But that's what you're doing. You are preaching to people about how they're no good Christians if they vote for Biden. And then now you're saying that we're the ones who are like pointing our fingers at you. No, girl, you started. You started out of fucking nowhere. Nobody was speaking to you and you started. Raise your hand if you're Latino but your parents didn't really teach you Spanish, but you kind of know Spanish but are scared to speak Spanish. People who make fun of the way you pronounce things suck. It makes you even more afraid to speak Spanish. Okay, what about the other way? When people whose first language is English make fun of our accent as foreign people? What about that? You want to be Latina only when it's convenient, but you do not have the discrimination of people who are actually from that background and do not speak English fluently, and they have an accent, and people are mocking them over that. Whereas you have your nice American Anglo-Saxon accent, and you are already more privileged than all of your community who doesn't speak English as their first language. And you don't acknowledge that. You only acknowledge that you are Latina for statistics and for posterity. Identity politics is wrong. Claiming any race or ethnicity to a certain party is disgusting. Telling someone based on their race that they can't vote for someone is gross. You're saying that they're incapable of making their own decisions. Telling someone that they aren't their skin color or ethnicity because you don't agree with their political choice is hilarious. This only pushes people further on the other side. No one asked. Literally no one fucking asked. There's a very clear distinction between those people and the real deal like Martin Luther King. Someone like Martin Luther King actually had a vision for a time in the future where that problem wouldn't be there. Okay, get his name out of your mouth because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If the existence of a problem is a part of someone's identity, they become very threatened by the idea of that problem being resolved and they may behave in sabotage behaviors. So for me that sounds like she's blaming black people for victimizing themselves when they've been enslaved. How can you say that shit and not realize how offensive it is to those people? I'm sure those people don't want to be minorities. I've seen this post and I really resonated with it. Because as I said, my people were slaves. My people were threatened by forces such as the Nazi Party who wanted to exterminate all of us. We were in the same category as the Jewish and the Roma people. I've seen this post saying, we are not minorities. We have been excluded and turned into minorities by society. Which is true, because why should I be different than anyone else? And why should even black people be different just because of something as trivial as their cranium shape and the color of their skin? These things are just not relevant. We shouldn't treat people differently. We should respect their cultural background, but you know, I kind of say this, equal but not the same. That's what my principle is. So we're not the same because we've been raised in different environments, but we should be equal, all of us, regardless of these things that we have no control over. Faith is bigger than fear. The dumbest thing I've read, he told you all, and we try to tell you all, but you are too concerned about bad orange man CNN told you about, for the post saying about Biden having a lockdown. Well, you would prefer people to die, I suppose, than having a lockdown because it's God's plan. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You can't say you voted for decency when Biden has accepted a premature win while knowing there could be fraud and that votes are still being counted. It's not only unconstitutional, it's the opposite of decent. Say what you want, but Trump told the truth. The first speech Biden gave us elect was a lie. He knew no one would know what the Constitution actually says. His goal was to convince America with help from MSM that he won, so if fraud proves him wrong, people would divide even more. Okay, so the voter fraud accusation has no substantial evidence and that's been discussed already. And I also want to say, if you think that Trump is a good Christian, he never goes to church, he never does anything Christian, he only uses Christianity when it comes to dividing people. Whereas Biden, although I don't like him, although he is a self-declared Zionist and I know that he's gonna harm the Middle East as well, in the same way that Trump did, Biden goes to church every fucking weekend. So please, what should a Christian vote? An actual Christian or probably an atheist that is Trump? she posted this shit saying Kamala Harris proposed this housing plan where everybody gets free 10 inches by 10 inches room and 3 meals a day. Sincerely yours, socialism. Socialism is a good thing. You are a moron. Americans who speak about socialism are the thing that pisses me off the most, because you are complete fucking morons. You don't know anything about socialism. My parents both grew up in communism. So if there's anybody who knows shit about socialism, it's Eastern Europeans, not you. You don't know anything. The Cold War and the Red Scare and the propaganda against me and my people has brainwashed you to the point that you think anything socialist is bad. But the funniest thing is, this article is actually from a satire website. So she really believed the fucking satire website. How stupid do you have to be? This is the point of this girl, like, she cites TikTok, but then she doesn't actually check the resources because it says it's a satire website. That is how stupid Trump supporters are. That's why nobody's taking them seriously. She posted this shit, saying, be an Esther, bold and courageous enough to stand for the truth, to voice your opinion and fight for the good of others, even when it means sacrifice yourself. If God has put you in a position, it is for a purpose. Never be afraid to heed to that inner voice. Okay, so for non-Christians or Jewish people, Esther was this Jewish queen who married a Persian king, and the Persian king's advisor wanted to kill all the Jews in under their leadership, and she foiled his plan through intelligence. And after that, she requested that her husband give permission to the Jews to kill all of their enemies. So she brought justice to her community. So that is a fable of kind of intelligence and the sense of community and kindness to other people. And if anybody's an Esther out of the two of me and Amanda, it's me, because I've been advocating for minorities for 3 years now. I've donated multiple times. I've gone to protests. I always speak about others when I get the chance, whereas she's done nothing. She's only talking shit on her platform, so I don't really see how she's an Esther. I feel like if she would be any Bible figure, she would be Esau, who is the brother of Jacob, and he got tricked by Jacob to give up on his birthright in exchange for a portion of soup, because that is how stupid Amanda Ensing is. It's ironic that so many of these people who unfollowed, I was the one to text, check up on them, show them grace through their mistakes or drama. Meanwhile, I practice my freedom of speech and to vote, and they cower. Don't come to me when they turn on you. I'll be in my lane leveling up. Okay, I would like to see that, but it's not gonna happen, because, well, to be fair, the only way for her now to go is up, because she's already in the pit of hell with all the shit that she's been spewing. The last week has revealed so much. If I was petty, I would release every influencer who called and texted me who didn't vote for Biden but is lying about it or staying quiet. The fact several unfollowed me but voted for Trump is sad. This week the fake were purged. PSA to those who unfollowed, remove me from your brand's PR list. You made this personal. By brands, I mean the influencer brands that unfollow me personally but still want me to sell the products. So if, in my opinion, what you're doing now is petty and judgmental. And if you really wanted to expose these people, you would use their names. You are pretending to be a good Christian because you don't expose them, but you are low-key exposing them because people will theorize about this. To every celebrity and influencer who screamed for tolerance, love and equality but remained silent during the violence and hate, we will remember when you revealed your true colors. We will remember when you complied with the hate and destruction of America. Holy fuck. Can you play the victim more? I don't understand what is wrong with you. And I also like that this girl is like promoting Amanda by saying that she has millions of followers. 1 million is 1 million. Just saying. I like this comment as well, saying Trump only goes to the Church of Trump and you are clearly a member, because yeah, she's so brainwashed by Trump. Like, girl, no fake idols. You said that yourself. We are living in a time of brother against brother, friend against friend. People are abandoning ones they know and love because the mainstream media told them that they are bad. Have you noticed the same people who shouted your voice and vote matters, go vote, are the ones being silent as voter fraud comes to light? They're the ones who are against auditing votes and discovering the whole truth. No, the judges ruled out that there's no suspicion, so the voter fraud is a lie. It's not the people who are against it, because the people have no say in this. It's only the court that can say something about this. And they posted this shit. She who kneels before God can stand before anyone. This is actually... The way that she's using religion as a shield is like actually annoying. And then she posted this march of a Trump supporter group that is made up of, you know, like LGBT people, the people of different racial backgrounds and stuff. And honestly, there is such a thing as internalized homophobia, internalized racism. So just because they are minorities, it doesn't mean that they actually care about the interests of their communities. I'm just saying. And she said, this is unity, the censorship going on in America right now. should terrify you pretty soon. It will be illegal to think. Their title is sarcasm. Conservatives believe in equality and love for everyone. So as far as I know about America, a lot of the news are fully right-wing news. So I feel like the censorship has already been an issue, but you don't talk about it when it favors your own people, do you? That's all for today because I don't really know what else to say anymore. I just think that's stupid, and girl, if you want to give up your YouTube channel and give it to me for a portion of soup, we can do that trade if you'd like. And I hope you guys learned something from this video. Leave a comment down below if you agree. If you disagree, feel free to debate me, but stay civil, because otherwise I delete all commentaries that are actually inflammatory or insulting. I only keep the respectful criticism. Let me know how you feel. Like this video or dislike this video. Don't care. Subscribe to my channel for more. I don't really delve into political subjects like this on my YouTube. I do it on my Instagram a lot, so if you care about socialism, human rights, that kind of stuff, feel free to follow me on my Instagram, because that is where you'll find a lot of stories that are educational. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!